Imagine not being able to read the paper because your hands were shaking. Imagine not being able to read newsprint as your world faded to black. The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. With your host, Lee Martin, and co-host, Florence Myers-McSwine.
We want to welcome you to the National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. Thank you for joining us once again. And Florence, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Lee.
And I'm very excited today. Once again, we have the pleasure of having a great guest on our show today. We want to introduce you that are familiar with our show, the National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. We're a show that has information pertaining to the blind, visually impaired, those that are print challenged, those with certain forms of dyslexia, and even those that are deaf-blind now have the opportunity to read newspapers, magazines, TV guide listings, job listings, very pertinent information to our lives as blind and print challenged citizens. For the first time, we have audio information service that is free for new subscribers to the service. We have a number of subscribers throughout the state of Indiana and also around the country. Florence, you'd like to talk a little bit about the NFB Newsline service, please?
Yes, sure. I love using the NFB Newsline service. There's a variety of ways that we utilize the service. I prefer using the iPhone. We can access it through our landline phone, our Android computer, Victor Reader Stream, as well as the digital player from the Talking Book and Braille Library. And our newest addition is the Amazon Echo Alexa, which makes it a lot easier for people who are otherwise print challenged to access NFB Newsline as well. I also prefer using the magazines. Using magazines, I read as much magazines as possible. I also enjoy reading news as well, but it broadens information to me, and it's like, as one subscriber said, it's like having global news right at my fingertips.
Yeah, I really enjoy the fact that we do have over 500 publications, with 70 of those publications being the different magazines. And, you know, I really enjoy the fact that students now, young people can read the Stone Soup magazine and also send articles in to possibly be put on Stone Soup. So I think that's a great incentive for the young people. But we'll be back after our commercial break. And if you could, just follow along with our commercials, learn more about the NFB Newsline service and all the publications that we have, and the commercials themselves are very fantastic. So we'll be right back.
With my failing eyesight, I'm not able to read regular newspapers, and I'm not able to keep up with obituaries.
I've been a homemaker all of my life, but since my vision has failed, I wish I could read my favorite magazines.
Have you heard of the NFB Newsline?
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
Wow, I scored a touchdown when I found sports on NFB Newsline.
I enjoy reading TV guide listings on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind. We read NFB Newsline.
It's free.
Well, want to welcome you back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana show. And today we have a very special guest, Miss Jill Young. How are you doing today, Jill?
Doing very good.
Well, it's our pleasure to have you here on the show today with us. And you are a subscriber to the NFB Newsline service, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so what is it about the service that you really enjoy reading?
Well, since I can't read the newspaper anymore, I like being able to get to the obituaries and the sports. I love sports, so, and other hot topics that appear in the newspaper. And
Now, you were telling me earlier you like to read sports as well as obituaries.
yes,
Yes, and you know, prior to having this service, did you have access to the service instantaneously as you would with NFB Newsline, where you can just pick up your phone or pick up your device and dial right on into the service?
it was okay. Once I found out the phone number to dial, and it was before I had Touchstone, and I would just follow the commandments of what you're supposed to do to reach the Newsline number. It comes up where you just follow the prompts, and you're right there.
So you're using the landline phone basically?
I do now, but I have a cell phone.
Okay, so you have the Apple iPhone with
Yes,
the
iPhone,
app on it as well.
I don't have Echo yet, but
Okay, and with being a subscriber to NFB Newsline, Jill, have you used the sales circulars such as the Walmart and Target circular at some point?
no, I haven't tried it yet.
Okay, well, you ought to try that sometime. It's really, really helpful in it. You know, as far as women, you know how we like to compare and shop. So it makes it a lot easier for us, you know, when we're going out shopping and being able to use that circular. It's there.
Yeah, it would, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know that with job listings, I don't know if you may have grandchildren or family members that are seeking employment, but you can also help assist them by using the job search mechanism on there as well, or the feature. You know, that's a great feature as well, with over 100,000 different types of jobs. So a person just enter their profile and the type of job that they're looking for, the wage that they're looking for, anywhere in the country. So those are great devices to have and features to have on the NFB Newsline service. Now, Jill, you are a blind citizen of Indiana?
Yes.
And how long have you been blind?
It's been a gradual process. I was diagnosed back in 1974 when I went to get my license, and I couldn't pass the eye test. And they diagnosed retinitis pigmentosa, and it's been a gradual loss of vision. I was able to drive for 4 years. I went back to renew the license, and it's not possible, so I quit driving.
So how devastating was that for you to all of a sudden not be able to pass the eye exam for a driver's license?
It was pretty devastating because I had desires to even have a car, a special car that I wanted, and there was no point in trying to buy a car. So I just drove my father's, the second car in the family.
And you said in 1974, were they particularly looking for retinitis pigmentosa, or is there a history of RP in your family?
There's no history of RP in my family at all. There's no one else that I know that has RP. I have a niece who has a vision problem, but it's not RP. So.
Your story sounds quite similar to mine.
Oh, okay.
It does. Now, tell me a little bit about, you said you were diagnosed at 74, so prior to that, had you had any symptoms that you knew of? And, you know, as far as the typical signs of retinitis pigmentosa, light blindness. Some people have myopia, which is nearsightedness, and some people are actually farsighted. So you had any symptoms of retinitis pigmentosa prior to your diagnosis?
Not of RP, but myopia. I was diagnosed with that. I guess I had some glasses. It's been so long ago that I didn't wear too much, and I don't know if that would have helped. But I couldn't read the blackboard in school, so I was kind of shy, so I didn't speak up. So I just followed the other students, and I just kind of gradually went through school, not being able to see the chalkboard that well. And I didn't know anything about RP.
Okay.
So it wasn't presented to me till I was about 18.
Wow. So were you a reader before? Did you like to read prior to your diagnosis?
I did, and I read the newspaper. And but after that, I could read it some, I don't know for how long, but after that left, there was nothing else for me to do but listen to the radio to get information. So, but then along came Newsline, so that helped. And,
now, with your educational goals at a young age, what were some of your desires, as a young lady?
I was going to be a school teacher, and that's what I started out as in school, in college. And I switched over to criminal justice, and I did get a BS degree in criminal justice, along with the assistance of the different things that they had available back in, it was back in the 70s, where they had the helps to get through classes and everything. And there was a lot of help. I'm very thankful for the help that I got through, and that helped.
So there was the technology at that time was a far cry to what they have today.
Oh, yes.
And so I know there were at that point in time probably a lot of one-on-one trainers and through vocational rehabilitation services that may have assisted with that?
Yeah, there were readers. They would read
readers.
my tests for me. And that's what I mainly had, readers. Even my mother read my class books for me, read the books, and that helped. She assisted for years.
Wow. Well, that is, we'll talk a little bit more about that as we come from break, about how an individual has overcome the RP and has moved forward with her life over the years. So stay tuned. We'll come right back with our guest, Ms. Jill Young.
Thousands of Indiana residents feel isolated from the world due to vision problems. Thanks to the National Federation of the Blind, visually impaired Hoosiers can hear newspapers, circulars, and magazines from across the globe.
I'm a Vietnam veteran. I'm blind. I read Stars and Stripes on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline.
I'm Danny Wayne Beamer, Program Manager of the Elder Blind Program at the Will Center in Terre Haute, Indiana. I introduce the NFB Newsline to seniors in 13 southwestern counties in Indiana. I also utilize the NFB Newsline for my radio station public affairs shows. The NFB Newsline, experience it today.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
Welcome back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline, Indiana, with our guest today, Ms. Jill Young. And Jill, thank you again for being our guest. And we were talking a little bit about you, your journey with retinitis pigmentosa. You mentioned that you were diagnosed with RP in '74, and that your interest actually was criminal justice. You say you have a bachelor's degree?
Yes.
And I just want to know a little bit more about you, Ms. Young, and your journey. And were you born in Indianapolis area?
Oh, yes, right here at St. Vincent's Hospital.
Okay, and you mentioned that prior to your diagnosis, no one else in your family was diagnosed with RP. Do you have any siblings?
No siblings.
Okay. All right, and so with your interest in criminal justice and your interest to pursue, I guess, a career in criminal justice, where are you now in your life as an individual diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa? I know that it had to be a diversion from some things, but I do know that that while it's challenging, that there are some wonderful things that have happened in your life. So tell us a little bit about you, Ms. Jill.
Well, I went on and finished the bachelor's program, and then I went on, there was the job search. After about '82, I did land, back then the state jobs were frozen, but then they were open somewhat, and I did land a job at the School for the Blind. And I was there for 7 years as a house parent. And then it became somewhat more challenging. So I decided to seek other avenues. And my job counselor suggested I go back to school again. And that's what I did. I went to Western Michigan College for my master's. It was a year program, and that was nice. A year away from home by myself. I thought I could handle it, and I did. But then when I first got there, another development, I developed or acquired multiple sclerosis, so that became another challenge for me. And people think it has something to do with my blindness, but it didn't, because that's been many years after '74, and that was in '89. But I got through that. That was something that kind of knocked me back, MS. But it's just something else I have to deal with, and I have the kind that I'm not too challenged somewhat. I have periods of time when I have to lay down. I have to get more rest. It goes with MS, and that's the nickname, MS. And so I just, stop for a minute and then get back on my feet, because I did acquire a job at Bosma Enterprises back in 1999, and I continued on with my life, and it was a fun job, working with lots of different visually impaired people. And so, you can go on in life with the loss of your vision. I didn't let it get me down, but I imagine some people really go through it, and they can't handle it. But I would say to anybody that the loss of vision shouldn't stop your life. And you can keep on living. I did a lot of things. I go by myself on trips for the National Federation of the Blind. And it's a national convention that I go to sometimes, meets once a year, and I enjoyed that. It's pleasurable to see thousands of people, blind people, get together to just share challenges and advocating for the blind, because we can't do almost everything that a sighted person can do. So I am glad for that, and I'm enjoying that and going to the convention this year. I plan to.
Well, so you've endured like a 1-2 punch, you know, with RP and then MS, and you're still being an advocate, and you're still encouraging those that face physical challenges. And you're to be commended for all of that work that you're doing and your walk of life. Now, I know today as we speak, there's someone, some youth, some young adult, or even some senior that may be coping with one or both of the conditions. And I know that you're such an inspiration. If you just had one thing to say to them regarding overcoming, would you put it in your faith? Would you put it in, just your grit, or where would you tell them to go to seek within the internal self?
Well, I know it's been God who has kept me through all this, and there is a God, and who helps everyone who seeks Him. And so my spiritual life, my faith in God has kept me, and it's been challenging, but I've made it through Him, and through Him I can do all things. And He strengthened me almost every day, to get up and go. And so everyone who has a vision problem or a physical condition, don't just lie there or stay there. Push your way through, and it will help you.
And Jill,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing that. This part of our show I like to think of as from trials to triumphs, because we still triumph.
Yeah. Yes.
That's the bottom line.
Yes.
I live with a philosophy. I once complained I had no shoes until I met a man who had no feet.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it is what it is. You're walking through it.
Right.
You're not camping out. You're walking through it, and you're getting through.
Right.
And so, thank you for being our guest today.
Welcome.
It's been our pleasure.
Welcome.
So we're going to take a short break and come back with the conclusion of our show with Ms. Jill Young, so stay tuned.
The National Federation of the Blind knows that blindness is not the characteristic that defines you or your future. Every day we raise the expectations of blind people because low expectations create obstacles between blind people and our dreams. You can live the life you want. Blindness is not what holds you back.
Welcome back to our show. And we have today Miss Jill Young, and we have had a good time. And Jill, you were talking earlier about that you attended conventions, and this year's convention will be held in Las Vegas.
Yes.
And so we have a lot of attendees this year. A lot of people that have really not attended the convention before are actually going, and that's awesome. It's a lot of great information there. And I believe it's going to be held. Let me make sure I'm right on this date.
It's going to be held at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, Nevada, July the 7th through the 12th.
Right.
And we encourage individuals to go to our nfb.org site and learn more about the convention. And we encourage you to do that right away because the rooms are filling up fast.
Yes, they are.
And I mean, there's so much to learn at the conventions. My goodness, Jill, you've been going for a number of years, far more than I have. And you know, what have you taken away from the convention?
Well, the devices that they have for the blind and visually impaired that you can purchase that can get you through, and just meeting with people you don't have ever, you probably would never know from way far as Utah and California, meeting new people. If you're a people person, I like being around people and children who are visually impaired and the adults and the nice time they have, restaurants and.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things that go on all the way from, you know, our national president, Mark Riccobono with the national board, and a lot of the agenda that's geared toward advocacy, securing the rights of the blind throughout the country, and a lot of initiatives that we have right now in front of Congress. So there's a lot of good information that an individual can receive at the National Convention, and we love to have fun too.
Yes, we do.
You know, there's a lot of talent in the organization, and we meet individuals that come in from all over the world. I was really impressed with the children, blind children getting around without any fear, and a lot of the programs that we have for our youth, such as our science, technology, engineering, art, and math program, STEAM. So there's a lot to learn, and we say just go up to nfb.org to learn more about the National Federation of the Blind, our initiatives, and our national convention.
And I'm looking forward to it. It's so much to do at the convention. And this year, I know it's going to be awesome as well.
Okay. Yes. So we're going to wrap our show up. And Jill, once again, thanks for coming on to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana show. And we would like to have you join us again next week as we have more and valued information to share throughout our community. So thank you for joining us this week, and look forward to seeing you real soon.
The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. For more information, go to nfb-in.org or call 855-963-6476. That's 855-963-6476. The National Federation of the Blind encourages you to live the life you want.